Hey, welcome back to the Expert Edge. Today's conversation is with Gary Sanchez. He is extraordinary. He runs the Why Institute, and he has such a powerful process of helping you to understand why you do what you do, how that looks, and then what you need, or what it looks like, and then how you need to do it in the world. And we go through this really unique process that I've gone through personally. And in fact, at the end of the podcast, I share. So normally you pay for his process, but we're giving it away for free. So definitely go and check that out. Gary Sanchez he's just a good dude, really good dude, runs an incredible business, speaks on, biggest platforms in the world, is a highly paid keynote speaker all around the US and the world. And I think you're going to really find this helpful. In fact, there's moments in this conversation where the resonance of the message is just so pertinent and so powerful. And so let's get into today's conversation all about discovering your why. Hey, it's Colin, and you are listening to the Expert Edge podcast. I was a professional speaker for over a decade, and now I focus on helping coaches, speakers, and course creators to speak and sell on virtual and live stages. The Expert Edge podcast is weekly content focused on helping you build your expert business. We cover marketing, storytelling, sales, communication skills, and so much more. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, and make sure you subscribe and follow us on all our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. Gary Sanchez, welcome to the Expert Edge, brother.
Thank you for having me, Colin. I've been looking forward to this.
Hey, this has been a long time coming. I know we've been in each other's worlds, and you've been a blessing in our community. Can we share that funny story about how we connected so many years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. And so basically, Gary, when we were first launching our Sell From Stage Academy, Gary joined the beta experience, which was when I had no name for the program. It was called Colin's Speaking Program. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't really know what it was about. I just thought it'd be good. And Gary was I was so blessed to have Gary join us. And I remember, dude, you sent me a text, and I've still got the text. And it was basically something like, mate, I just spoke in front of 50 people. I made an offer. It was a 50% conversion rate. I got 9.8 out of 10 rating on the speaker rating. You did like 60,000 in sales, and you were like, this stuff actually works. And it was just really cool getting a message like that. And what's been amazing, dude, is watching your business. And I know when you first joined with us, it had some momentum, but it was still foundational. You were still kind of working out the direction of it. But dude, you have catapulted. Like, you are speaking on the biggest stages in the world, speaking alongside literally the biggest names in the world, working with billionaires. Like, to watch your trajectory growth because you've found an idea that resonates with the world at such a deep level is just like, it blesses my soul. And so let's have a conversation about the Why Institute, which is what you run, the impact you're making, all that sort of good stuff. How did you get into this stuff, man? Chat us through, and we'll explore this, and it's going to help everyone.
Yeah, and can I make a comment about that first?
Please.
Yeah, so, I was that speaker that winged it, that everybody would say, hey, you did a great job. That was so great. No matter, every time that is so great. You were wonderful. Love it. Not buying anything, right? Yeah. And so it felt great, but I knew that I was just winging it. I knew I could wing it and get by, but I didn't have any structure around. I didn't even know there was structure behind it. I was just doing what I do. And then when I met you and I saw what's possible, and you had put frameworks around what I was trying to accomplish, that's why I was so excited about it. That's why I jumped in, because without the frameworks, you're just relying a lot on hope, right? And with the frameworks, there's a path that you follow, a journey that you take your audience through and on. And the more times you do it, the more you understand what's going to happen in advance, and your confidence level just skyrockets. So if you get that signature talk down, then you have something to work with, and you just start playing with it and working with it. And I think I mentioned this to you. I used to have someone that would do a lot of speaking for us. And he said to me one day, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try something, whatever it was. I'm going to try something out. I'm like, how are you trying something out, man? I'm just hoping to get through the dang thing without forgetting what I was doing. And so now I understand that when you get your talk down and you do it enough times that you know what the reaction is going to be, then you can start tweaking things along the way to make it even better. And that's what came from learning from you and being part of that first beta group and getting I don't know if you made those up as we were going along or how you came up with all the different things you did, but it was super helpful to me. So thank you so much for having me as part of that first beta group.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was the combination of I'd been doing it for about a decade and I just spent the time to analyze the structures that were actually working because I'd done it so many times. It was like there was times that worked, times that it didn't. I was like just analyzing all the frameworks of what did work. So, but dude, you've made it a reality. Like you've built an incredible business. And I want to have a conversation about two things with this conversation because there are the main listeners of the Expert Edge are they're coaches, consultants, speakers, etc. I think that the power of what you do is going to be so useful in their world, and we're going to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about your business and what your business looks like and all that sort of stuff. So, but first of all, let's talk about your topic. Yeah. Your topic of why.
Yep.
Why did this come about?
Yeah, so I was a dentist. I did not wake up one day and say, hey, I think I'm going to develop software to help people figure out their why. That's not how this happened in any way. I graduated from USC Dental School, which isn't too far from you, and I don't even want to, 1988, which is crazy to even say. But the advice that I was given by the gurus of that time was build a great product and people will come. Right? Yeah. Build a great product and people will come. So I spent 20 years reaching the highest levels you could go to in dentistry, studying with the best mentors, buying all the technology, doing all the things to create a premier practice, only to blend in with everybody else who said, yeah, I'm a dentist too. Yeah, Colin, I'm a speaker too. Yeah, I'm a coach too. You know, how does that feel, right? Yeah, I'm a speaker too. I spoke last week at the Rotary. And you're like, wait, hold on. There are different kinds of speaking, right? And it was different kinds of dentistry that we were doing. Sure. And so that just drove me crazy. I'd never worked so hard at something, Colin, and not gotten the results back that I thought I would. In fact, my practice was getting smaller and smaller and more refined and more refined. Very frustrating. And so I was either going to quit or I was going to find a better way. And I went out and hired a coach, a guy by the name of John Assaraf, who I think you know.
Yeah.
And through John, I learned how to use the internet, how to do websites, drip campaigns, SEO, how to tell the world all about me. The only problem was, what am I going to say? What am I going to say that separates me from everyone else who does what I do? What are you going to say? Or what are the coaches going to say? Or what are any of you listeners going to say to separate you from those that do what you do? And since I didn't know, I just stayed quiet because I didn't want to sound bad or desperate. And so that's when I heard John Assaraf interview Simon Sinek. And I learned about this concept of why. And man, I watched that Simon's TED Talk probably 20, 30 times. I read his book 4 or 5 times. And I said, that is what I'm missing. I have a great what, but I don't know my why. So I became obsessed with it. So I called Simon. I said, hey, I need you to help me find my why. And so he and I spent about 8 months together. He didn't really have a process for doing it. We just spent about 8 months going back through my life, looking for clues. And I finally figured out my why. My why is to find a better way and then share it. That's what my entire life has always been about, finding better ways to do things and sharing them with the world. I have a lot of patents and products and inventions that are better ways of doing things.
Yeah.
So in my practice, we stopped talking about what we do, crowns, bridges, fillings, all those fun stuff, and started talking about why we do what we do. What do we believe? We believe that life is better when you have great teeth. In fact, you can't have a good life when you have bad teeth.
I agree. I'm obsessed with teeth. Just so you know, my teeth routine in the evening and the morning is like 19 steps.
Dentist dream and nightmare, right? Dream and nightmare on both.
Sorry, I digress.
No, that's fine. And so that's when my practice really took off. We started attracting the right people to us, those that believed what we believed. That's a really important thing. Those that believed what we believed, those are your ideal clients. Your bad clients are the ones that don't believe what you believe. But if you don't know what it is you believe, if you can't articulate it then how are you going to attract it? And so that's what the why did for us. And as my practice took off, I started getting calls from other dentists that wanted me to help them do what I had done. So I went back, since my why is to find a better way, I went back and figured out what Simon was trying to do, and I made it better. So instead of taking 6 or 8 or 10 months to help someone find their why, I could sit down with you in about an hour, help you find your why, build your messaging, marketing, branding, all of that right there on the spot. And so I started doing this for the next 7 years for free for anybody that would let me.
Wow.
I was just something I became excited and obsessed about. It was like a hobby.
So you were still running your dentistry practice while you were doing this?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was almost like a magic trick. I would be on stage in front of an audience. I'd bring somebody on the stage with me. I would discover their why right in front of the audience and then build their messaging, marketing, and branding right there on the spot. Huh. And so that's, and as I did this over and over and over again, I started to notice patterns and trends and similarities. And I figured out that there's only 9 different whys. That was the most important thing I figured out, because once I knew there were 9 whys, then I could help you figure out your why in about 20 minutes. Then I could teach other people to do what I was doing. Then I could get more data. And with that data in 2016, I built the Why Discovery that just found your why, software tool that in under 5 minutes found your why. Now, I've done more why discoveries than anybody in the world, and I was only about 70% accurate. 30% of the time I got it wrong. So if everything in your life, your passion, your purpose, your direction, your messaging, your marketing, your branding, all of that is based on your why, pretty important you get it right. So once then I just gave that software away for free to over 300,000 people took it. Then it started costing me a lot of money to have everybody find their why. And I said, that's probably not a good idea. And it's not a good business model to lose every time you help someone.
Yeah,
but and then in 2021, I developed the YOS discovery, the Why Operating System Discovery that finds your why, your how, your what, builds your message for you, and it does it in about 8 minutes.
So good.
That's the one that you took.
Yeah, I love that. And we will talk about that at the end, how people can get access to those processes and stuff. So, okay. So you're running now, it's a coaching, it's a technology business. You do a lot of facilitation, a lot of speaking. I know you've spoke alongside like people like John Maxwell and other big names. I'm curious about the journey of building this business. What has it looked like? How has speaking been a big part of it? What does that look like? What does your business look like? Because I think people are really interested in this sort of stuff, and we'll go in between your why methodologies and the business. I'm curious. How does the business look? What does that journey look like for you?
So I was, at the time, it was a hobby. This was just a hobby. And then it started getting to where I started working with companies. I would work with a CEO. I would speak at a EO or a YPO or one of those Vistage groups. They would say, hey, will you come help us with our why? And so I would do that. And then they say, hey, can you bring this into my company? Can you do this with all of our executives? And then can you do it with all of our people? And, when I was doing it just by walking them through this process that I had done verbally, I could maybe work with 6 people in a day.
Sure.
It was just very mind-numbing.
So you're delivering it individually at that point.
Individually at that time when I first started doing that.
Yeah. And so you're doing free presentations at Vistage, at EY, all those sort of places. Is that right? Then that's leading to more leads into organizations.
Yes.
Correct.
And of course I learned that free is not the best strategy, but it took me a while to figure that out. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be free. So, but then I developed a software platform which allowed us to scale.
Sure.
Because so a friend of mine said this to me one day. He said, Gary, because I said, I felt, and I really believed this, that I was the only one who could help someone find their why. I'm the only one who has all this expertise. So if they don't do it with me, probably didn't get it right. That's what I thought. And so my friend says to me, well, Gary, if that's true, how many people are you going to help in your lifetime? And I thought, well, maybe there's got to be a better way. And that's when I went out and developed the software, which I didn't think was possible. So Can we take a little bit of a side note into
Yeah,
that?
do it. Take us down the journey.
Yeah, because the way that I would get to your why, Colin, was your why is housed in the limbic part of your brain. That's the part of the brain that doesn't have the capacity for language, the feeling part of your brain.
Sure.
You can't tell someone why you love your wife or your significant other. You just do, right?
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
the only way that I could get to the why was through stories. So I would say, Colin, tell me a story about an interaction you had with somebody at work that made you feel successful. And you would tell me the story about how somebody came to you with a problem and you helped them move forward. And then I would say, Colin, tell me a story about an interaction you had with somebody outside of work. Didn't matter. I just used that because people could figure it out faster at work. Outside of work that made you feel successful. And you would tell me the exact same story, but with different people in it. And that's how I would figure your why.
Can I speak to this? Because I feel like as soon as you said that, the first thought was I would think about, it was a time that I helped someone or it was a time that I contributed. And I've done your process and my why is contribution, challenge, and trust.
Yes.
And so that's so fascinating that you said that. And I started thinking about, it wasn't like, when I was awarded something or I was given something or I got a great result. It was when I helped someone else get a good result.
Yes, you were that pebble that started the ripple effect that went on and on in their lives, right?
Tell me about the structure, because you've got the why, the what, and the how. Talk to us about the framework of your why model.
Yeah, so there's your why you do what you do. Then there's so knowing just your why is valuable. For sure it's valuable, but it's only step one. Start there, but don't stop there. Then you have how.
What's yours, Gary? What's your why?
Okay, so my why is to find a better way and share it, right? I believe success happens when we find a better way and share it. How I do that is by making things clear and understandable, first for myself and then for others. And ultimately, what I bring is a simple solution. So for me, it has to be better, has to be clear, has to be simple. So my why is better way. My how is clarify, and my what is simplify.
Now, I haven't asked him this, but Donald Miller.
Yes.
I wonder if his is very similar to that. I feel like there's a and obviously I'm mind reading here at the moment, but yes, I'm like, when you said that, I'm like, I feel like Donald speaks that language all the time as well. So anyway, I digress.
He probably does.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out.
Yeah. We should hit him up. So Gary, so go through this process. That's great.
Yeah. So your why is why you do what you do, right? Your how is how you bring your why to life. The process that let me go back. Your why is why you do what you do. Your motivation.
Yes.
Your how is how you bring your why to life. The process that you use, and then your what is ultimately what you bring. The deliverable that others can count on from you. So it's your motivation, it's your process, and it's your deliverable. And that's why it's so much more powerful than just your why. Starting with your why is very valuable. Knowing your why operating system, the system inside you that determines how you lead, how you follow, what you love to do, what you don't love to do, what brings you energy, what zaps your energy. There's already a system inside you. So when I speak at events, Colin, one of the examples that I'll use is, do you remember those old commercials with the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC?
Yes.
Yeah, right. I'm a Mac, I'm a PC. And then they would do something funny about it. But when you think about it, there's very little difference between a Mac, let's just say a Mac laptop, and a PC laptop. They both have a screen, both have a keyboard, they both have a processor, they both have a camera, they both have memory, they both have all the same things. What is it that makes them different?
One's cool and one's not.
I agree. But it's the operating system, right? It's the operating system. And
absolutely, yeah.
It's
the way the operating system works.
If you treat a Mac like a PC, it's not going to work very well, right? Treat a PC like a Mac, not going to work very well. Humans are the same way. We already we have an operating system inside us right now that determines All those things we talked about, how you make decisions, how you lead, how you follow, all those things are already inside you. But most people never figure out what their operating system is. They wing it. They hope. They wish. So what if there was a cheat code for figuring out what your operating system is, so then you can use it in your life to make better decisions, to find your passion, your purpose, your direction, to build your messaging, your marketing, your branding, to tell the world about you, to understand yourself in a way you never have before. Maybe you sensed it, but unless you can say it, you don't know it. Kind of sort of thinking that maybe you might know your why, not very valuable. Knowing your why.
Saying it. I mean, that's the difference between success in life. I feel like there's a lot of people who have great skills, they've got a great purpose, because they can't articulate it clearly. People don't buy from them. They don't get promoted. They don't get opportunities. So this is so powerful. Talk to me about me. Because, and I know, obviously, I'm being selfish here now because I'm interviewing you on the Expert Edge, but mine are contribution, challenge, trust.
Yes.
What does that mean about me? Help the audience to understand me better and me to understand me better.
Yeah. So Colin's why is to contribute to a greater cause, add value, have an impact on the lives of others. So he uses his time, his money, his energy, his connections, his resources to push other people forward, to uplift other people. He wants to be that pebble that starts the ripple effect in other people's lives, because when they do better, he feels like he's done better. Now, how he goes about doing that. So that's just his why. So if that's all you knew about Colin, that'd be pretty valuable to know. Because now when you look at him on the screen, you would understand what's going on behind his eyeballs and how he's thinking and processing. That's his motivation, to help you do even better. How he does that is by challenging the status quo, thinking outside the box, getting you to think outside the box you've put yourself in, helping you expand what's possible, have an even bigger impact. Because ultimately, what he brings is that trusted sort. He wants to be the trusted guide, the one that's going to grab your hand and walk you through and be the one that you can count on. If he tells you something, it's going to be the truth. Colin will not be able to lie to you. It just doesn't fit with who he is and how he's going to work. It would kill him. It would kill him to do it. Yeah. So he wants you to be able to trust him. He wants you to be able to count on him. And that's really, how does that feel to you, Colin?
Yeah, it really resonates. Like when it feels like you're speaking to my soul. As you take me through the whole process. So I love that.
Let me add something to that.
Please, yeah.
Let's say we didn't know Colin as well, and we just happened to get on a Zoom call with him. I would be looking at his hairstyle, what he's wearing, his microphone, what's in the background, what he put back, all those things. And I'd be trying to figure out, who is this guy? Like, who am I talking to here? And you would just make up whatever you say. Maybe you'd say he's charming, or whatever the word is that you would come up with for Colin. And that's who he would be to you. But now we know that he wants to help you have a bigger impact. He wants to get you to think bigger. And he wants to be that trusted guide to get you there. Man, we're having a totally different kind of conversation now. So I don't meet with anybody on Zoom or in person unless I know their why, how, and what. It doesn't matter who it is. We're bringing this to the U.S. Navy, right? And I had a call with the Admiral of the Navy. But I said, hey, before we get on the call here, you're going to have to discover your YOS, which he did. And man, our call was just totally different than if we were trying to feel each other out. Oh, well, where'd you grow up? Like, tell me about your kids, like, all that stuff. So now you can develop trust so much faster. Once whoever you're talking to, once they know that you know who they are, all the walls come down and we get down to what we're actually here to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about how this practically works, the impact of the practicalities of this.
Yeah.
Are there some examples that you think about, some clients who have done some things with it, or what they've done with it and how it's impacted them? I'm curious.
Yeah. So now when I play in go to different events or wherever I happen to be, if I have my Y hat on and somebody knows, they'll say, hey, Gary, can you help so-and-so find their YOS? So I'm in this golf tournament, and a buddy comes up and says, hey, could you help Brian Green, Coach Brian Green, discover his YOS? He's the new baseball coach at New Mexico State University. Worst program in the nation. And so, of course, New Mexico, where I'm from, we're kind of the worst in a lot of different things. But this particular baseball program is the worst one in the country.
It's only up from there.
Yeah, it's only up from there. So we went through and discovered his why, how, and what, which was trust, right way, and contribute. And I said, Brian, how does that feel to you? And he said, man, that is me to a T. That is spot on. That's what I talk about. That's what I preach. I need you to help me with my team. So I went down to Las Cruces, New Mexico. I did the YOS with all of his coaches, assistant coaches, and all the players. And then we created a big matrix. And at lunch, I said, Brian, I want you to circle all your favorite players. He starts circling all his favorite players. And I said, and it turned out they all had the Y of trust and right way. And I said, Brian, if you could use the YOS to recruit and build your team with, would that be valuable for you? And he goes, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. So that's what he did, recruited and built his team all based on their YOS. He had the biggest turnaround in the history of the NCAA. He went on to have 4 34-plus win seasons in a row, 9 players taken in the Major League Draft where they'd never had one in the history of the program. He then went on to Washington State University, which was on their own 10-year slump, and he did the same thing there. And I ran into him recently, and I said, how are things going for you, Brian? He goes, well, I hit the pinnacle of college golf. I'm the new head baseball coach at Wichita State University, one of the premier programs in the country. And I said, what do you attribute your success to? He said, well, I build everything based on their why, their how, and their what. And what I told you wasn't actually true. I don't just want trust and right way. I need to have everybody. But now I know who I have, and I know where to put them where they're going to have the biggest impact so that we have the biggest impact. And that's been the secret to my success. And so I could tell you story after story after story of individuals and companies that have done this same sort of thing. But it's basically, if I could narrow this all down to 4 words, it would be this: who first, then what? Who are you first? Then what direction should I go? Then what's my passion? Then what is my message? All those things start with, who are you first? Let's figure out who you are. Then all the rest will come from that. And so for coaches that are on here, if you made it so that you never speak with anybody for the first time or meet with them until you know that about them, you'd be blown away by how that changes your conversion rate, because you're going to know who they are. You're going to be able to speak to them from their perspective. You know, it's the platinum rule. Yeah. Right? Golden rule, platinum rule. Golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. Platinum rules, treat others the way they want to be treated. Yeah. That's how you do it. So
I love this. As you were saying, I was thinking about myself, which is just great. But I was thinking about my why. And I was like, if I wasn't a coach, right, if I wasn't running my business, which I don't have any plans to change, but I'm like, I could never do a job where I didn't feel like I had a direct impact on people's contribution. And I look back over my career, early on in my career, when I did jobs that didn't have that direct correlation of feeling like I was contributing to a greater cause, and I frigging hated them. And I flunked at them. I was terrible at them. But when I felt like, when I think about it, what we do now in our coaching space is it's all contribute, and it's direct impact contribution. So it's just making sense for me, your model of, and I say this because I know that when people go through it, it's going to help their world to make a lot more sense, and then help them to be directed in where they're going to go.
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the most challenging things is to help someone find their passion, right? Or even what do you want to do, right? What you have an unlimited menu up on the wall, unlimited. Colin, pick what you want to do here. What would you like to do with your life? And you got 10,000 choices. How do I figure that out? Well, here's how you figure it out. Here's how you can help your clients figure that out. By the way, they say you are best suited to help the person you once were.
Yeah.
And that was me, right? And I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I ended up in dentistry by default. And so who we're really set up to help is somebody who made a choice before they knew who they were, got good at it, and then felt trapped by the choice they made. And that's who I was. And that's who, like you mentioned, I work with a lot of billionaire groups.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And so you're best equipped to help the person you once were. And I wish I had known who I was. I had no way to figure that out. Your parents would say, hey, go find your passion, Colin. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Well, how do I do that? Well, I don't know, but go do it. That was super helpful. Thank you. And right. So here's how you do it. And this is right in line with what you were saying. If what you choose to do with your life is in alignment with your why, your how, and your what, you will love what you do.
Yeah, that's so true.
You will have passion for what you do. And passion is the fuel that gives you the energy to pursue your dreams. Without passion, you quit. With passion, you persevere. So let's take you as an example. Colin, if we put you in a place where you get to help others have a bigger impact, you get to help them see things they haven't seen and think outside the box they've put themselves in, and you get to be their trusted guide that leads them there, would you enjoy doing that?
Absolutely.
Unlimited energy, right?
Unlimited. That's insane. Do you know what's interesting? Because I think about our industry, right? And there's various delivery models like online courses, group coaching, masterminds, coach, all those sort of things. And I've realized that the reason I haven't gone all online courses is because I know that if my whole business was just online course sales, I would hate it. Like, even if I was making millions of dollars just from online courses, because I watch other people and they build a business where it's like all they do is online courses, and they're like, I don't want to interact with my clients. I just want to give them the course. So I've got complete time freedom. But for me, I've realized I've built a model that actually requires me to interact with my clients. Like, I'm literally this afternoon, I'm about to do a 2.5-hour coaching experience with my elite clients. And I'm like, I've built that model because if I get too distant from the contribution, I don't enjoy my business no matter how much money I make.
So let's go the other direction. Now Colin picks a path where he doesn't feel like he's having an impact. He's told to sit in a cubicle and crunch numbers, and people question his results.
Oh, wow. Like, even as you say that, there's like a visceral reaction in terms of like, I would hate my life so much.
And let's put you there for a year or 5 years.
Oh, depression.
Yes.
Massively. Yeah.
Because let's say you now have 3 kids, a stay-at-home wife, you've got a mortgage, you've got car payments. You can't leave.
No. Oh, dude, that's heavy.
And think of how many people are in that.
Oh, so
many.
Yeah, I mean, I was early on in my career, so I wasn't really making much money.
Oh, yeah.
So I was all right. I didn't have any kids or mortgages yet. So, but I can appreciate. I was lucky enough that I actually had enough pain in my life that it forced me to find a different path. And do you know what's interesting? I ended up I landed a role in a recruitment job, and I gave a reference that was a terrible reference, and I ended up not getting the role because I gave a terrible reference. It's so funny. This is how bad I was. This is like in my 20s, right? I had no idea what was going on. And then what happened was I ended up going down. I was like, well, maybe I could do some training. I ended up landing a corporate training role, and that thing changed my life. I'm like, I freaking love this job. And I got promoted. Like, my managers loved me. Like, it was just insane. And it was actually through the pain and mistakes that kind of I fell into. I was kind of lucky enough to fall into it. But dude, I can appreciate there was so many people who they're just trying to do the right thing and trying to climb the corporate ladder or doing something and they've got all these responsibilities and they feel stuck. What do you say to them? Like what is that process of unraveling?
Who first, then what? Let's figure out who you are first. Let's not make any changes. Let's figure out who are you.
Yeah.
And then let's figure out what direction you should go, where you're going to get to live who you are. So you're going to love what you do and have passion for it. And it doesn't have to be so complicated or so complex. Let's just who first, then what? And if I could take it even further down to
when you say who, is that all three levels of the why, what, how, or is it more just the why? When you say
why,
who?
how, and what?
Yeah.
The why is a good start. But if you don't have the how and the what, because if all we talked about was you contributing, but then you got stuck, you're contributing, but you're stuck in a cubicle and people are questioning you, you're not going to like it.
No.
You got to have all three. So make a choice where you get, and this is great for your kids, going off to college, trying to figure out, what am I going to major in? What am I going to do with my life? I'm 17 years old. I should know by now, right?
Yeah.
And of course they don't. Yeah.
No one knows. I mean, I feel like I'm just starting to figure it out at like 44.
Yeah, me too. It took me until I was, 50s to be able to figure that out. And it's funny, this morning I was reading this book and I took a picture of this page on here, and it says, this is from Dan Martell.
Yeah.
Buy Back Your Time.
Buy Back Your Time. I read that. Great book.
He was talking about people that had success, and he said, while perseverance was key to their findings, they noted that perseverance without passion isn't grit. It's merely a grind. Perseverance without passion, just hanging in there, sticking you in the job we talked about, and you hung in there, man. You hung in there. It's not grit. It's just a freaking grind.
Yeah. The problem is I'm not great at hanging in there, Gary. Yeah. So I didn't hang in there for that long. Maybe that's a superpower of mine. Because I didn't last in more than a year. I actually couldn't hang in there. But what's crazy,
like they have to, right?
Yeah, that's so true. But what's crazy is I've been running my coaching business now for almost 18 years. And so like I've hung in there with this, but it's because it aligns with the why, the what, and the how.
Yep. Yeah, it's you were very fortunate.
I feel that. I'm kicking myself that I'm so fortunate that I was able to have that. And I know you're helping people do this all over the world. How many people have gone through your process around? Like, do you have a number?
Up 400,000.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And all different types. And so, we're about to start taking it to universities, to high schools, because the younger you are, when you figure out who you are, the longer the runway you have to be who you were meant to be.
Oh, wow, dude, that's a good quote. Gary Sanchez. Say that again.
The younger you are when you figure out who you are, the longer the runway you have to be who you were meant to be. And what made me think about that is because when I was growing up, I was traveling around the country playing racquetball tournaments. Racquetball was the fastest growing sport in the world at that time. And I was one of the top players. And so this one buddy of mine would always go with me. And he ended up, starting to do a lot of drinking and drugs and all that stuff and hit rock bottom at maybe age 22.
Yeah.
And then he got into personal growth and self-help and got a mentor and figured out who he was. And man, from 22 on, he's done amazingly well. He was the screwball that never went to college, wasn't going to amount to anything, figures out who he is. Now he's one of the wealthiest guys in New Mexico in real estate. But the point of it was he figured out at 22 who he was. I went off to dental school, did what I was supposed to do, took the path of least resistance, had a good life, but wasn't really what I should have done. And then I switch at 50, and now I have from 50 to whenever. So my runway is a lot shorter than what his runway has been. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm excited about the rest of your runway, Gary. And we need to get your message out there. And you're, like I said, you're an amazing person in our community. It's an honor to have you in our community. And the work you're doing is just, I know it's going to reach, or I know it's already reached millions from a reach perspective, but I want to see millions of people go through your process. So can you tell us about, because I'm about to drop a link, I'm going to share a link for people to go and do part of your process for free, or that working out their why. Tell us about what the next step is.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening and you want to start on the path, you want to just, if I could say one thing to get out of today is make the time to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And you know who you are when you can say it. So what we're going to do, Colin and I talked about this, I'm going to give you the why discovery for free. So there's a why discovery that'll get you started, and at least it'll get you to your why. You can get that for free. It's normally $47 or $49. You'll get that for free. There'll be a link to do that. If you want to then go on and discover your how and your what and get your message and all the other tools that come with it, there's a way for you to do that, and it's not expensive either. So that's where I would start. Just start there, get your why, play with your why. If you want to get to your how and your what, it's only $97. So it's not going to be, not going to break the bank. Anybody should be able to afford that. But
I love
we're going
that,
to start you there.
Yeah, it only takes 20 minutes or so? How long does it take to go through it? 8 minutes. Yeah, 8 minutes. I love that. So, guys, we've prepared a link for you. So, even as you're listening right now, just grab your phone and just go to colinboyd.co. So, COLINBOYD, colinboyd.co/Gary. And it's Gary with one R, GARY. colinboyd.co/Gary. Go there, get yourself registered, get clear on your why. I will say this has really made an impact on my life. I'm excited for every listener to go and do that. Like honestly, don't put it off, because let's be frank, if you go, I'll do that next week, you're not going to do it. Like if you're listening on your phone right now, pull up your Explorer, colinboyd.co/Gary, get yourself registered, get your why clear. I think it's going to make a big difference. What's a final encouragement you would leave with our listeners, Gary?
Yeah, I think that really was it, is just take the time to figure out who first, then what. And that'll bring so much more to your family. It'll bring so much more to your team, so much more to your clients when you're clear on you. And again, when you're clear is when you can say it. This is why I do what I do. This is how I bring my why to life. And this is what you can count on from me. And that becomes the essence of your messaging, your marketing, your branding, your conversations, the people you attract. All of that comes from it. So love to help you find your why, how, and what. And Colin, thank you so much for having me today.
Gary, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the Expert Edge. Guys, go and grab yourself, get yourself registered, colinboyd.co/Gary, and let's get your why. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.